Hello everyone, especially programmers and developers. I am Ahmed Sami. I'm a junior software engineer at company BAM in the beginning of my own career. Looking forward to do more. I would like today to share with you one of the most important concepts that I have learned here is testing your database. You would like to test the integrity of your statement, SQL statements, methods that you are creating inside your repository or inside your data access object DAO layer. So to guarantee later on that you don't have any problem with that layer. So also one of the most important things is that you don't want to test your database on your original database itself because anyway you have a database for the production, so you don't want to do your test on this database. For that reason we have an embedded data source, embedded database or in-memory database or virtual database, as you would like call it, you can call it. The idea of embedded or in-memory database that you will have a virtual database on your own desktop or on your own computer so that you can test all your requests to the database or all your statement to the database away of your original database. By this way, you will guarantee the integrity of your data inside your database. So for today's topic, we are going to use a Flyway database integration library. That Flyway will help us to, in context, in context with the embedded Postgres database, that we can test all of our logics on the DAO layer. We technology that we are going to use, we are going to use Spring Core, Spring Context. By the way, let's step in. That will be much better. I would like to share with you what I know, but the topic is very hard. There is a lot of information that you would like to know, so please, I will share with you the practical part and a little bit of theoretical part during the video. It's not a lesson, it's just sharing what I know. So after that, you can read by yourself if you stuck on something, but it will be very informative. Okay, starting by this already a project that I have tested that everything is working correctly. Now we're starting by creating a new Maven project. Project Maven, you know, it's a magic. So we'll just make it simple as we can. We are going to use database. Okay, create from archetype, choosing Maven archetype quick start. Next, group ID, your domain, in reverse order, com.ipam. Artifact ID, I'm going to call it Flyway database test. I hope that Maven project will download the dependencies very quick as we expect. Next, keep everything as it is. Next, and then we check the project location, project name, everything is okay. Then finish. New Windows. So now we are waiting for the magic of Maven. I hope it will be fast. Please, please go, go. Be a good boy. Yeah, perfect this time. It's done everything very quick. Okay. So first of all, the structure of our program, it's very, very important to have an organized package. You have source, main, Java. Inside Java, you'll have your own packages. So we can also enable auto import. So Maven will help us to do so. Now, Java is our source, com and .app. We'll keep just app as it is now. I will tell you later why. Now I would like to make MVC project. It's not a project of MVC. It will be just the structure of MVC. So I will create a package. I will call it model. Model will hold all my logic connection between the database and the entity. Controller also will create a package. We'll call it controller. The package controller will take the request from your user interface, then deliver it to the model, then after that take the response from the model, then return it back to your view. It depends what kind of view that you're going to use. It's just a quick, it's separation of layer, control, model, and view. We don't have any view here at the moment. So Inside model, we would like to create an entity class, entity package. But anyway, that's why I need this class. So I will put it in refactor and I will tell you why. Now, when I'm creating a new package, no need to write the whole path. I will just need to write my package name, entity. That's why I kept this class here. Okay, model entity. Entity will be the package will hold all my entity classes, any entity classes or POJO, plain old Java object. Model, then I need to create a DAO package, Data Access Object package, that will hold all my classes that will connect me to the database or the access object to the database. Then I need to create a configuration package. Inside this package, I will have all the classes that will configure my Spring beans. Okay, at the moment I have that basics. So now let's start by creating DAO class. For the sake of time, I have everything already is ready in this project. I will just copy and paste it from here to there, but I will not just copy it. I will just explain also what I'm copying. So let's close everything. Okay, so now from the beginning, we have the same project, model, entity. I have created a user class. Yes, in this old project, I used project Lombok, but I will delete project Lombok at the moment for the new one. Copy and inside entity, paste. It's a simple user class. There is nothing special here. Okay, so I need to create setter and getter using Intel Alt insert. Will give me the magic of creating setter and getter. I said setter and getter. Alt insert. Now shift click, use them all, create it. Now I need to create a default constructor with no arguments. Alt insert, I need to create full argument constructor with all my variables. That's perfect. Also, I will take this custom constructor from here. So I would like to keep just my class more organized. By this way, you have variables on the top, constructors, then setter and getter. After that, alt insert, we will create equals and hash code. Hash code. Finished. Alt insert to create our toString that will be the representation of our variables when we run the class. Okay, now I have my class user is already ready to be used. I will close it. Inside DAO also I need to create an class that will connect me to the database. I will do the same idea also. I will just copy it and paste it from here. Here is DAO class. If you can see, I have just my DAO class. On the top of the DAO class, I have my SQL statement as constant. And after that, I have an instance of Java database connection template. I will create in the configuration class. After that user. So I have a better idea. Let's start with the configuration class. But to take the configuration class, I need first of all to include inside my POM.xml file all the dependencies that I'm going to use. So to use Spring, you need to start by the first dependency you need. It will be the Spring core dependency. Spring core dependency that will hold a collection of utils that you are going to use to work with the Spring Beans. A Spring Beans dependency, it's responsible of the life cycle of the beans itself inside when creating the beans, when destroying the beans. A Spring context will be responsible for injecting your beans that you are already created, inserted them inside the context collection that you can use them later. Spring JDBC will give us the ability to connect to the database using Java database connection template. So there is no need to write your own boilerplate code that you had to write it before. For example, the result set, the statement, prepare the statement. You don't need to do so. Already in Spring Bean, everything is ready for you. Spring tests that we are going to use for testing our data access object. JUnit, it has to be 12, so you can use it with Spring test, the version 12. And now open table.components, pg embedded is Postgres embedded data source database that we need. Flyway is the topic or the subject of today, the Flyway migration library. Project Lombok will not use it now. Self4G, it will be our yes, the logger that we are going to use. So anyway, I will just copy the whole dependency at once as one, and to my also just replace the dependency here with the new one. And now Maven will download everything for me. Okay. By the way, I'm going to delete Project Lombok, so you will not, when you download this project from GitHub, you will not get mistakenly using it if you don't understand, because you need to know what Project Lombok is. But the subject of today, it's about Flyway database migration. Okay, now I have all my dependencies. That means I have the libraries in the class path. It's ready to be used. Closing the boom XML file, we don't need it anymore. Configuration class, we need to create a connection configuration. Now we will call it connection configurator as a class. It's very important to add the annotation of add configuration on the top of your class. Why? By this way you are informing the Spring that this class will be a configuration bean, so please include it inside the context. So next time I'm going to next time I will need to get some beans from inside, will help you by searching this annotation first of all. Find that connection class connection configurator already is in the context, then we'll get the needed beans from inside it. Next one, how we tell Spring where to search for our beans, where already this beans located. So we need to make component scan. By this way, you are telling the Spring that you will scan specific packages for any class that annotated with one of the most important annotation like component, for example, or instance like bean or repository service. So where we are going to search, we will give it a value. Yes, package basis value. Yes, package basis. After that, I'm going to tell it where to search com.epam. If I leave it just com.epam, that means the Spring will going to search the whole project for the annotation, starting from the package here, ending to the last package inside the model. Will not search outside this, so you have to tell Spring exactly where to search for the beans that you need to include inside your context. Context is something look like a collection of beans that will be ready to use. That's context. It's something like this because today's topic is not about Spring. So anyway, I will be more specific because controller will not be used. I will just specify also dot model. So now I'm telling Spring context that please next time you need to search for the component that you will include inside the context, you need to search inside this package for all the classes which annotated with one of the annotation to be included. Now to connect to the database you need a connection, but we are using Spring, so we can use data source. Data source is it's something like a converter or something like encapsulate the connection inside it and will help you for make your life much easier. By the way, no need to write the connection by your hand, no need to close the connection by your hand. Inside the data source everything is already set for you, like a connection pool will work with the connection better. That's saving the boilerplate from creating your own data source. That's why it's called data source. Data source will be responsible of connecting you to the database and opening the connection, closing the connection, and doing that stuff for you. So we need to create an instance of the data source, SQL data source. We will call it also data source. Okay, now from where we are going to get this data source? If we don't have a real database at the moment, now we will use the embedded data source database. So the database itself has a specific configuration and information about the URL of the database, the location of the database, the username, user password for the database. So if we are using embedded data source, embedded Postgres, we will give it just for at the moment null. Now we need to try because we will have input output exception. What I'm doing? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Try, and then I will initialize my Postgres. So I need to use embedded Postgres.builder.start. We'll build the Postgres embedded database, then we'll start it. Yes, because now when it starts the database, there is likely you can have input output exception. So add catch clause. I'm using just alt enter for that shortcut. Okay, next time you need already to work to solve this input output exception. So now I need to get my data source from inside the database. Data source will get the connection, and that connection will hold all the information about your database that you are need to open and to close every time that you are connected with. So I will return new Postgres. I'm sorry. I will just return Postgres dot get Postgres database. If you notice, it's written here data source. Okay, now I will close it because also maybe it could be null. We will just assert Postgres not equal null. Okay, now we have an instance of the data source, but how can we use this instance of the data source later? To use this instance later, you need to tell the context that this instance is a bean. So please include this instance of data source inside your context so you can inject it after that in my new instance for another class or another bean that I need to use. So I'm just create it as a bean. That's all. Now I already told context to take this data source instance included inside your collection of beans. Okay, now I am in contact with my database. So how can I write to that database? How can I execute any statement inside the database? I need a way to do this. That's why we have a Java database connection template, public Java database connection template from Spring. Exactly, Java database connection template from Spring. And now we need to inject it by the data source because the data source will have all the information about my database, and I will return new Java database connection template, and I will give it the data source. And Java database connection template will take from this data source the information about my database to write in, to retrieve, and to execute the statements that we need to execute. Also, I need to declare the Java database connection template as a bean. So I will tell the context that this Java database connection template is a bean. So later on, I'm going to use at bean. Perfect. Now, subject of today. Do I need to write manually to this database every single time I'm doing a test? No, I don't need to do so. That's why I have the Flyway migration. Flyway migration will migrate your script to the database, write to the database. After that, clean the database. Will also migrate, clean, migrate, clean, migrate, clean. No, like this. Okay. Anyway, I need also an instance of public Flyway. Flyway. Also, Flyway, by the way, needs a data source. So Flyway need to understand to which database he is going to write and he's going to clean. So I'm giving it data source because the data source will hold all the information of my database. So Flyway need to get the configuration of the database from the data source. That's why Flyway has a class. It's called Fluent configuration, Fluent, and Flyway dot configure dot data source, and I will give it the data source that I'm using it. After that, I need an instance of the data source, so I will just I will return a new Flyway, and I will tell it take the configuration or the information of the database from the Fluent configuration. Fluent configuration will make your life much easier because we'll read all the properties files that inside your Postgres. No, it's something like this. Okay, also I need to declare Flyway as a bean so I can use it later. Good. Now that's my configuration class is already ready for testing my database. Now it's time to write the database itself or to write the data access object class for the user. Remember that I already have it here, so I will just copy it even as it is, and I will explain it now. Copy and paste. Perfect. All this red beautiful color, it's no problem because the import statement I need to import the user. Alt enter, import class user. Now everything is okay. But maybe there is something else. Yes, exactly. Here I don't have any. It's collab, I'm not Serenity, so I will delete them. User mapper. Why user mapper is beautiful red like this here? Because mapper it's very important when you use Java database connection template, by the way, because user mapper, all what it will do, it will take the information from the database and then write it or set it in your file in your user class from the entity. So in model we are going to create also another package. We will call it mapper. Inside this mapper I'm going to create a class. I will call it user mapper. User mapper implements function interface is called row mapper. Row mapper is already generic, so we will give it the type of class user, and we will implement the only message that it has, it's row map. Okay, now user mapper result set, we will get it from the Java database connection template. The result set will hold the information that we need from the database as a type of table. So name of the table and information that it holds. We need to set this information from the table to our object as user, so we can use this user object later on in test or in another places or on another operations that you would like to use, checking, displaying on a screen or something like this. So anyway, let's make it much easier. Again, I'm going just to copy it. Where is mapper? Yes. So I will just copy it and I will explain it if it's needed. Return now. It's a good practice as a programmer to don't have any literals like this. You need to have an constant. Why you need to have constants, not literals? No. Private, final, static. Again. Static string user ID. Equal. If we are using the shortcut Ctrl D, we'll just copy the last selected line. So I need to create constant of username, constant of user email, also constant of user birth date. Just take them, copy like this. That's the most easiest way. For what reason you need to have a constant, not to have a literal like this? On the future, if you would like to change a value or you change your mind in case of some values, you don't need to change it in everywhere. You will just change it in the constant, and that automatically will change it everywhere for you. That's why constant is the elegant and the best practice that you need to use every time you are creating a literals. So just use constant like this will make your life much easier. Now from the result set, I'm asked the result set to get me long value that user ID column is holded. So I have it here, then I prepare it. I set it to this value. Also string username, I would like to take the value that result set holding in username column. The same for user email, the same for user date. Then using the new constructor, I created already a new instance of my user class with the new information, user ID, username, user email, user birth date. All this information came already from the database. So now I can use them on the front line, on the front end. Okay, now I need just to implement to import the user mapper. Okay, quick. I annotated user DAO as repository. So I told the context that this user DAO is repository. So please include it in your context collection so to be ready for me to use or inject it later on where I would like you to inject it. Auto wired, here is the magic. Auto wired is means that please get me the value of Java database connection template from the context that you created. If you remember from the connection, we already have an instance of Java database connection template here. Already we have a new Java database connection template is ready to use. It's not wiring. If you can understand the word itself, wire, connect, something like this. So I'm telling Spring, so please wire me this variable with the connection from this bin. Oh, I'm sorry. Wire me this value with the instance that you have it already in your collection from Java database connection template. By default, the name of this bin will be Java database template this bin will be data source. That's by default. That's why when I kept everything here just by default, we'll search what auto wiring will do. Auto wiring will ask the context, so please search inside you for instance or for a bean by the name of Java database template. When it's find it will by itself will make this for you. New Java database connection template. He will do that for you. You don't need to do anything. He will do it for you. So that's why we are using getWired. We are informing Spring context that please get me a value of this and inject it like this. Injection is going by three ways, by variable, by class, by setter, but this is not the topic of today. Now getting user by ID, query for object, get by ID, declaring the ID as object, and I'm using user mapper so I can retrieve the information of that user from the database, storing inside the user mapper, then return it as a user instance. The same with list, get all, we'll do the same, we'll make a query for all user mapper. Update user, I'm doing a little bit different things, but I'm returning int, so later on maybe I would like to use this int as a test in different place, because if return 1 it means the update method successfully done. If return 0 it means something wrong went when we are writing to the database. Same remove user will be also similar, returning int, removing the user by its ID, using the update. Okay, that's user DAO, that's user mapper, that's connection configurator that we have. I think now that we have everything is ready to be tested. I don't need this app. Let's do the magic. User DAO is the topic of testing because I would like to test my database. So now I'm asking Spring to create for me Alt Enter, create a test. I'm going to use GUnit 4, ask to set up before, tear down after, and then I'm going to test the 5 methods that I have it here. Okay, automatically created for me and test. It's called user test. Uh, I would like to use a Spring GUnit for GUnit runner for the test. So I'm going to use run with I'm sorry at because it's annotation run with Spring GUnit for class dot class. If I'm going to use the Spring GUnit for class runner, that's mean I would like to ask the context to give me an instance of what kind of class that I'm going to test. Because I would like to test user DAO. User DAO is already there in the context, so no need for me to create it by hand again. So in this case, I'm going to use add context configuration and classes. I'm going to tell him that you can check the context configurator root dot class because connection configurator already have the annotation of scanning packages. So when it scans the packages, will give me the needed instance for my database. Okay, also for the sake of time, I'm going just to test route. Yes, here user DAO the same as I did there, but it's just different class. So don't worry about it, just different class. I'm auto wiring my user DAO. Now you understand what's mean auto wiring. It's mean get from the context instance of user DAO. Also, I'm auto wiring my Flyway. Flyway get me from the context instance of the auto wired so that I can use it. Creating a private date and before I'm migrating. Migrate it's mean I'm asking Flyway to migrate a SQL script to the database so I can test my database. It's embedded database. I'm just creating a simple data format, so I'm just cleaning my code here. It's a cleaner code, you can say. Okay, tear down is mean clean the database after you already set after you migrate to it, then clean it. That method will run after each method. Before each method, setup will work. After the method is finished, tear down will work. Get user by ID, I'm going to check the user ID method, get all the user, I'm doing the same. Update, I'm doing the same. Remove and add user. I will also, for the sake of time, just copy it from here and just there, like this. The magic of copy paste. Okay, so I need to import the user. I imported the user. Something went wrong. Yes, because I need to change Java to be okay. I'm going to user. I will let this Java util date. Also, by the way, I need to change it in a mapper itself because mapper will be SQL. No, just util. Okay, so it's work because the SQL it was a date and now they are different type. They were different type. Now they are not. Okay. Anyway, uh, from where Flyway will understand which script to migrate because Flyway now will just migrate, but what it will be migrating by default, Flyway when it's by default, the Flyway will search for for what? Yes, for a resources folder. So we need to create an resources directory. Resources directory. That's by default. Inside the resources directory, we'll have another directory. It's called database DB, and inside the DB, we will have another one. It's called migration. Okay, that's the way of Flyway will search for the SQL script to migrate to the database and to clean the database. Resource, DB, and migration. So now I will just also, for the sake of time, I'm going to create table. Here I created the table inside the embedded database. I called it user table with user ID, name, email, birth date, and inserting information to the table so to be tested. Now I just need them. So I will just copy the whole resources folder, or just one, two. That's what I need. I'm copying my script and paste them inside the migration. It's much better to make this directory as resources root. Okay. Now it's time to check the magic of Flyway. We need to test. How we will test? We'll just make a simple test by using get user ID and we run the test. We will check. Flyway will give us some information here about the database. Yes, the migration database. Yes, here information of context info init database.exe. The file belonging to the database will be owned by me. Whatever. Yes, test is pass. I don't have any problem. I don't have any mistakes at the moment. So what about the other test? What about if I want this test to not pass? I will just change it to get another user by another ID and we will check. Let's check. Waiting for the magic to be done. Oh, test fail. Now I need to check why my test is failed. Expected user ID is number 4, but actual user ID is number 5. Also, the name is uh, not right name between them. So nothing is correct here. Nothing at all. So now it's time to check all the methods. I will return this to before, and I will run the class itself. I have here 5 methods, so I need to check the 5 methods. Now we will see. You can see the magic by yourself. If you can notice, selecting default max connection is 100 max connections. That connection will open and close them. Shared buffer 128 megabytes. Windows creating configure. Okay. Oh, very good. All tests are done. Now Flyway Community Edition will explain the edition 5.2 point. Database, the URL of my database, where the Postgres, and successfully validated 2 migrations. Execution time, the current version of schema, public, it's empty schema, don't need it. Migrate schema is version 1, create table, version 1.1, insert table. Yes, it's very important to understand something. There is a pattern to write the migration SQL script. The pattern starts by V, give it a number, then whatever you would like, dash, underscore, as you like to do it here. But it's much better to be like this version, for example, 1.0 or version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. It has to be in serial numbers. So if you make it randomly, I don't know, to be honest, what will be happening, because I learned it to do in the right way, so I didn't test how to do it in right way or improper way. So that's a pattern how to write your script, SQL version, create table, version. It's very important the version number. It doesn't make difference the name. Important the version, the sequence will Flyway migrate the table, Flyway the migrate the schema. As you can see, version 1, version 1.1 applied to migration successfully. That's because already the test is passed. Clean schema public execution. Already cleaning the schema or cleaning the database. So that was the point. How to use the Flyway database migration to guarantee the integrity and the correctness of your statements that you already have them here in user DAO, and to make sure that your functionality of your methods working correctly and you don't have any problem on the front end on the future. Also, that will guarantee for you something very, very important, that all your tests is going to be done inside an virtual or embedded database. It's very, very important to not ruin down or to not destroy your database just exceptionally or unintentionally by executing an SQL statement on your original database. You can imagine if you are on the production and something like this happen. I don't know what they're going to do with you, to be honest. Okay, the reason why I made this video, even I don't have the enough information or knowledge to say that I can explain something like this in details, it's I got inspired by my colleagues in company PAM and the frequently used question about Flyway, how we can test the database, we make integration test. Also, I got inspired by a lot of online searches I have been done to find something explaining how to use them, how to tie them together, how to wire all this information together to create an integrated test like this. That's what I have done already. I just wiring all this information together in one video. I know it's a big video, but I hope it will be benefits for you. If you like it and you think it's useful for you, you can share it with someone else needs that information, because anyway, knowledge is something good to share. Um, that's what I wanted to say. I would like to say thank you so much for your time that you already wasted watching this video, and I hope that video was good enough that you can say that you learned something. I hope that you forgive my English language, because I'm not native English speakers also, so if you heard some mistakes of my grammatic, so please forgive me about it. I'm doing my best. Thanks so much. I wish you a nice day, a nice time. And I would like to say thanks for EPAM company for all the chances and the possibilities they are giving to us. Have a nice time and goodbye.